Elena sat in the back seat of the old bus, her hands held tight to a small brown bag. Inside the bag was everything she owned: a few clothes, some photos, and letters from Robert. The bus made loud noises as it moved down the empty road. She looked out the dirty window at the flat land that went on and on. The seat was hard and uncomfortable. Elena had been sitting there for 12 hours. Her back hurt and her legs felt stiff. The other people on the bus were sleeping or reading. Nobody talked to her. She did not speak much English yet. The words felt strange in her mouth when she tried to say them. Elena pulled out one of Robert's letters. She had read it so many times that the paper was soft and worn. "Dear Elena," it said in his neat writing. "Cedar Falls is a beautiful place. You will love it here. I have a nice house with a big yard. We will be happy together. I cannot wait to meet you." She folded the letter carefully and put it back in the bag. Elena tried to imagine what Robert looked like. In his photo, he had brown hair and a smile. He looked kind, but photos could lie. Elena knew this. She had learned many hard things in her 26 years of life. The bus driver called out in a loud voice, "Cedar Falls, next stop, Cedar Falls." Elena's heart began to beat fast. This was it. This was her new life starting. She gathered her bag and stood up. Her legs felt weak and shaky. Elena had never been so far from home before. Her village was small and quiet. Everyone knew everyone else. Here in America, everything was different. The signs were in English. The food smelled strange. Even the air felt different in her nose. She stepped off the bus onto the sidewalk. The sun was hot and bright. Elena put her hand over her eyes to block the light. Cedar Falls looked like a small town. There were a few shops, a gas station, and some old houses. It was not as beautiful as Robert had said in his letters, but maybe it would be okay. Elena took out a piece of paper from her bag. Robert had written his address on it, 245 Maple Street. She looked around. There was a street sign that said Main Street. She did not see Maple Street anywhere. A woman walked by with a shopping bag. Elena took a deep breath and spoke to her. "Excuse me, where is Maple Street?" Her English words came out slow and careful. The woman pointed down the road. 2 blocks that way, then turn right." She spoke fast. Elena did not understand all the words, but she nodded and said thank you. Elena started walking. Her one suitcase was heavy. She had to stop and rest twice. The houses on Maple Street were small and old. Some had nice yards with flowers. Others looked like nobody took care of them. Elena looked at the numbers on the houses. 241, 243, 245. This was it. The house at 245 Maple Street had white paint that was old and peeling. The grass in the front yard was too long. There were weeds growing everywhere. Elena felt worried. This did not look like the nice house Robert had talked about in his letters. She walked up to the front door. Her heart was beating so fast, she could hear it in her ears. Elena knocked on the door. She waited. No answer. She knocked again, harder this time. Still nothing. Maybe Robert was not home from work yet. Elena sat down on the front steps to wait. The sun was getting lower in the sky. She was thirsty and tired. Her stomach made hungry noises. She had not eaten since the morning. After an hour, Elena heard someone walking. An older woman came out of the house next door. She had gray hair and kind eyes. She looked at Elena sitting on the steps. "Honey, are you waiting for someone?" the woman asked. Elena stood up. "Yes, I wait for Robert. Robert Miller. He lives here." The woman's face changed. She looked sad and worried. "Oh dear, you must be Elena. Robert told me about you last month." Elena felt happy. "Yes, I am Elena. Where is Robert?" The woman walked over to her. She put her hand on Elena's arm. "Honey, I have bad news. Robert left 3 days ago. He packed up his truck with all his things and drove away. Nobody knows where he went." Elena did not understand all the words, at first. "Left? What means left?" "Gone," the woman said gently. "Robert is gone. He moved away." The words hit Elena like cold water. Robert was gone. He had left her. She had come all this way, spent all her money, left her family behind, and he was gone. Elena felt like she could not breathe. Her legs felt weak. She sat back down on the steps hard. The woman sat down next to her. "I'm sorry, honey, I'm so sorry. My name is Mrs. Patterson. I live right there." She pointed to the house next door. Robert didn't tell anyone he was leaving. He just packed up one morning and drove away. Elena stared at the empty house. The windows were dark. There were no curtains inside. It looked like nobody had lived there for a long time. "Where do I go?" Elena asked. Her voice was small and scared. "I have no place to go." Mrs. Patterson put her arm around Elena's shoulders. "You poor thing. Come on. You can stay with me tonight. We'll figure something out." Elena wanted to cry, but the tears would not come. She felt empty inside, like someone had taken everything out of her and left nothing behind. This was not how it was supposed to happen. Robert was supposed to be here. He was supposed to take care of her. They were supposed to get married and be happy together. Instead, she was alone in a strange place with no money and nowhere to go. Helena picked up her suitcase and followed Mrs. Patterson to the house next door. Each step felt heavy and hard. Inside Mrs. Patterson's house, it was cool and quiet. The older woman made Elena sit at the kitchen table. She brought her a glass of water and some bread with butter. "Eat something, dear, you look tired." Elena ate the bread slowly. It tasted good, but she could hardly taste anything. Her mind kept thinking the same thing over and over. Robert was gone. He had left her. What was she going to do now? Mrs. Patterson sat down across from her. "Elena, do you have family back home? Someone who could send you money for a bus ticket?" Elena shook her head. "My family is poor. I told them I was getting married. I cannot go back now. They will think I am a failure." "You're not a failure, honey. Robert is the one who failed. He should have been here. He should have kept his promise." Elena looked out the window at the house where Robert was supposed to live, where she was supposed to live. The sun was setting now. The sky was pink and orange. It was beautiful, but Elena could not feel the beauty. She could only feel the emptiness inside her chest. That night, Elena lay in Mrs. Patterson's spare bedroom. The bed was soft and clean, but she could not sleep. She stared at the ceiling and wondered what would happen to her now. She was alone, in America with no husband, no job, and almost no money. Elena had thought her life was going to change when she got off that bus. She was right, but not in the way she had hoped. Elena woke up in a strange bed. For a moment she forgot where she was. Then she remembered. Robert was gone. She was alone in Cedar Falls with nowhere to go. The room was small but clean. There were white curtains on the window. Sunlight came through them and made patterns on the wall. Elena could hear Mrs. Patterson moving around in the kitchen downstairs. The smell of coffee came up through the floor. Elena got dressed in the same clothes she wore yesterday. She only had 3 dresses with her. She folded her nightgown and put it back in her suitcase. Everything she owned fit in one small bag. It made her feel very small. Downstairs, Mrs. Patterson was making breakfast. She smiled when Elena came into the kitchen. "Good morning, dear. Did you sleep at all?" "A little," Elena said. It was not true. She had been awake most of the night, thinking and worrying. Mrs. Patterson put a plate of eggs and toast in front of her. "Eat up. You need your strength." Elena ate slowly. The food was good, but her stomach felt nervous. She did not know what she was going to do. She could not stay with Mrs. Patterson forever. The old woman was being kind, but Elena was a stranger. She could not take advantage of such kindness. "Mrs. Patterson," Elena said, "I need to find work and a place to live." Mrs. Patterson sat down with her own coffee. "Well, there aren't many jobs in Cedar Falls. It's a small town. Most people work on the farms around here or drive to the bigger towns for work." Elena felt worried. "What kind of jobs?" "There's the diner on Main Street. Sometimes they need waitresses, and the grocery store might need help. Old Mr. Henderson, who runs it, isn't getting any younger." Mrs. Patterson sipped her coffee. "But Elena, Honey, your English isn't very good yet. That might make it hard to find work. Elena knew this was true. She had studied English in her country, but speaking it was different from reading it in books. When people talked fast, she got confused. Sometimes she knew what she wanted to say, but could not find the right words. I will learn, Elena said. I must learn. After breakfast, Elena walked to town with Mrs. Patterson. The old woman wanted to show her around. Cedar Falls was very small. There was one main street with a few shops, a diner called Rosie's, a grocery store, a gas station, a bank, a post office. That was about all. They went into the grocery store first. Mr. Henderson was an old man with white hair and a big belly. Mrs. Patterson talked to him while Elena stood quietly behind her. She heard her name a few times, but did not understand everything they said. Mr. Henderson looked at Elena. You speak English? He asked. A little, Elena said. He shook his head. I need someone who can talk to the customers, help them find things. I'm sorry. They left the grocery store. Elena felt disappointed, but not surprised. At the diner, it was the same thing. The owner, a woman named Rosie, was nice, but said Elena's English was not good enough to be a waitress. People get impatient when they can't understand you, Rosie explained. It's nothing personal, honey. Elena and Mrs. Patterson walked home slowly. Elena felt heavy inside. How could she learn English if no one would give her a chance to practice? That afternoon, Elena sat on Mrs. Patterson's front porch. She had a small English book that she brought from her country. She read the words out loud to herself, trying to make them sound right. But reading alone was not the same as talking to people. Elena looked across the street at Robert's empty house. The windows were dark and empty. She wondered why he had left. Had he gotten scared? Had he met someone else? Or had he never planned to marry her at all? In his letters, Robert had seemed excited about her coming. He had asked her many questions about herself, her family, her hobbies, what she liked to eat. Elena had answered all his questions honestly. She had even sent him a photo of herself, a good photo where she was smiling and wearing her best dress. Maybe the real Elena was not what Robert wanted. Maybe when he thought about actually marrying a stranger from another country, he got scared and ran away. Elena tried not to think about her family back home. Her mother and father lived in a small house with her two younger brothers. Money was always tight. Elena had worked in a factory making clothes, but the pay was very low. When she told her family about Robert and America, they were so happy. They thought she would have a better life. They thought she would be able to help them. Now Elena felt ashamed. She had failed before she even started. How could she tell her family that Robert was gone? That she was alone with no job and no money? They had been so proud of her. Mrs. Patterson came out to the porch with 2 glasses of cold tea. She sat down in the chair next to Elena. You look sad, dear. I am thinking about my family, Elena said. They think I am married now. They think I am happy. You could write them a letter, tell them what happened. Elena shook her head. I cannot. They will be so disappointed. My mother cried happy tears when I left. She said I was going to have a beautiful American life. Mrs. Patterson was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Elena, sometimes life doesn't go the way we plan. But that doesn't mean it's the end of your story. You're young and strong. You'll find a way. Elena wanted to believe her, but it was hard. She had no money left except for a few dollars. She could not buy a bus ticket home even if she wanted to. She was stuck in Cedar Falls whether she liked it or not. That evening, Elena helped Mrs. Patterson make dinner. The old woman was teaching her how to cook American food. It was different from the food Elena knew how to make, but she was learning. Maybe you could clean houses, Mrs. Patterson said as they cooked. Some of the ladies in town are getting older. They might pay someone to help with cleaning and cooking. Elena thought about this. She was good at cleaning and cooking, and she would not need to talk very much. Maybe this was something she could do. How do I ask them? Elena said. I'll help you. I know most everyone in town. I'll ask around and see if anyone needs help. Elena felt a little bit hopeful for the first time since she arrived. Maybe there was a way to make this work. Maybe she could stay in Cedar Falls and build some kind of life, even if it was not the life she had planned. After dinner, Elena sat on the porch again. The sun was setting and the sky was pink and orange. It was beautiful. Elena tried to see it as a good sign. Maybe tomorrow would be better. A truck drove by slowly. Elena could see a man driving and a small child in the passenger seat. The child was looking out the window at her. Elena waved and the child waved back. The truck continued down the street and disappeared around the corner. Elena pulled her sweater around her shoulders. The evening air was getting cool. She thought about all the evenings she had spent at home with her family. Her mother would be making dinner now. Her brothers would be playing in the yard. Her father would be coming home from work tired and hungry. Here Elena was alone. But maybe alone did not have to mean lonely. Maybe she could make friends in Cedar Falls. Maybe she could build a different kind of family. Elena went inside and helped Mrs. Patterson with the dishes. Then she went up to the small bedroom and wrote in her diary. She wrote about Robert leaving, about looking for work, about Mrs. Patterson's kindness. She wrote about feeling scared and sad, but also about feeling a tiny bit hopeful. Tomorrow, she would try again. She would keep looking for work. She would keep practicing her English. She would keep going forward, even though she did not know where the road would take her. Outside her window, Elena could see the lights in the houses on Maple Street. Behind each light was a family, a life, a story. Maybe someday she would have her own light in her own window. Maybe someday Cedar Falls would feel like home. Elena had been in Cedar Falls for 4 days. Each morning she woke up hoping things would get better. Each night she went to sleep feeling lost and scared. Mrs. Patterson was kind, but Elena knew she could not stay there much longer. She needed to find her own way. On Thursday morning, Elena counted her money again. She had $12.37 left. It was not much. She had spent some money on a small notebook to practice writing English words. The rest was all she had in the world. Mrs. Patterson made breakfast as usual. Eggs and toast and coffee. Elena ate quietly. She was thinking about what to do. She needed food, but she needed to save her money too. Elena, dear, Mrs. Patterson said, I talked to my neighbor yesterday, the one who lives on Oak Street. She said she might need help cleaning her house once a week. Elena felt a little hope. Really? How much would she pay? $20 each time. It's not much, but it's something. $20 would help a lot. Elena could buy food and maybe save a little bit too. When can I start? I told her you would come by today to meet her. Her name is Mrs. Cooper. She's very nice. After breakfast, Elena walked to Oak Street. Mrs. Cooper's house was bigger than Mrs. Patterson's. It had a nice yard with flowers and a white fence. Elena knocked on the front door. Mrs. Cooper was about 60 years old. She had short gray hair and wore glasses. She smiled when she saw Elena. You must be Elena. Come in, dear. The house was very clean already. Elena wondered why Mrs. Cooper needed help, but she did not ask. She needed the work too much to ask questions. I need help with the heavy cleaning, Mrs. Cooper explained. Washing the floors, cleaning the bathroom, dusting the high places. My back isn't what it used to be. Elena nodded. I can do that. I am good at cleaning. Can you start this Friday? It would take about 4 hours. Yes, Elena said quickly. I will be here Friday morning. Elena walked back to Mrs. Patterson's house feeling better than she had in days. $20 was not a lot of money, but it was a start. Maybe she could find more houses to clean. Maybe she could make enough money to rent a small room somewhere. That afternoon, Elena decided to walk to the grocery store. She needed to buy food with her own money. She could not keep letting Mrs. Patterson feed her without paying something back. The grocery store was small but had everything she needed. Elena picked up bread, some cheese, and apples. She was being very careful with her money. She counted everything twice before going to pay. At the cash register, Elena put her items on the counter. The total was $8.46. Elena started counting her money slowly. She had mostly coins and small bills. Counting took time. Behind her in line, Elena heard a small voice. "Daddy, why is that lady crying?" Elena touched her face. She did not know she was crying. She wiped her eyes quickly and kept counting her money. "Lucy, that's not polite," a man's voice said softly. "You can't ask people things like that." Elena finally counted out the right amount. Her hands were shaking a little. She was embarrassed that people were watching her count coins like a child. The man behind her stepped forward. He was tall with brown hair and kind eyes. A little girl stood next to him. She looked about 7 years old with long brown hair and a ponytail. "Sir," the man said to the store clerk, "I'll pay for her groceries too." Elena turned around quickly. No, I have money." She held up the coins she had counted. The man smiled gently. "I know you do, but please, let me help." "Why?" Elena asked. She was confused. Why would a stranger want to pay for her food? The little girl tugged on the man's shirt. "Daddy, is she the lady who's staying with Mrs. Patterson? The one whose husband ran away?" "Lucy," the man said. His face turned red. "I'm sorry," he said to Elena. "My daughter doesn't have much of a filter." Elena felt embarrassed. Everyone in town knew about Robert leaving her. She was the woman whose husband had run away before she even met him. "It's okay," Elena said quietly. She took her grocery bag and started to leave. "Wait!" the man called after her. Elena stopped and turned around. The man and his daughter walked over to her. "I'm David," he said, "and this is Lucy. I'm really sorry about what happened to you. Robert was not a good man." Elena did not know what to say. She just nodded. Lucy looked up at Elena with curious eyes. "Are you sad because you don't have a husband?" "Lucy, enough questions," David said. But he was looking at Elena with worried eyes. "Are you okay? Do you need help with anything?" Elena wanted to say she was fine. She wanted to pretend she did not need help from anyone. But looking at David's kind face and Lucy's innocent eyes, she felt the truth come out. "I do not know what I will do," she said. "I have no place to go. No job. Very little money." David nodded slowly. "That's rough. I'm sorry you're going through this." Lucy stepped closer to Elena. "What's your name?" "Elena." "That's a pretty name. Are you from far away? You talk different." "Lucy, don't ask so many questions," David said again, but he was smiling a little. "It's okay," Elena said. "Yes, I am from far away, from a country called Romania." "Wow, that's really far." Lucy's eyes got wide. "Did you come on an airplane?" "Lucy," David warned. Elena found herself smiling for the first time in days. Lucy was cute and funny. Her questions did not feel mean. They felt curious and friendly. "I came on an airplane, then a bus," Elena told her. "That must have taken forever." "Daddy, can we show Elena around town? She probably doesn't know where anything is." David looked at Elena. "Would you like that?" "Lucy's right. You probably don't know your way around yet." Elena felt surprised. These people barely knew her, but they wanted to help her. It felt strange, after being alone for so many days. "I do not want to bother you," Elena said. "It's no bother," David said. "We were just going to walk around town anyway. Lucy likes to visit all the shops and say hello to everyone." Elena thought about it. She had nowhere else to go. Mrs. Patterson was visiting her sister for the afternoon. Elena could go back to the empty house and sit alone, or she could spend time with these friendly people. "Okay," she said. "Thank you." Lucy clapped her hands. "Great. First we'll go to the park, then the library, then maybe get ice cream." As they walked out of the store together, Elena felt something she had not felt since arriving in Cedar Falls. She felt welcome. David walked slowly so she could keep up. Lucy skipped ahead, but always came back to walk with them. "So how long have you been in Cedar Falls?" David asked. 4 days, Elena said. "And Robert just left without saying anything?" "Yes. I came to marry him, but he was gone." David shook his head. "That's terrible. What kind of man does that?" Elena had been wondering. "The same thing. I do not know, his letters were so nice, he seemed like a good person." "Well, his letters lied," Lucy said, turning around to walk backwards in front of them. "Right, Daddy? People shouldn't lie in letters." "Right," David said. "People shouldn't lie at all." They reached the small park in the center of town. It had a few benches, some trees, and a playground. Lucy ran to the swings. "Push me, Daddy." David pushed Lucy on the swing while Elena sat on a bench watching them. It was nice to see a father and daughter who loved each other so much. David was patient with Lucy's endless chatter. Lucy was clearly the center of his world. "Elena," Lucy called from the swing. "Do you have any kids?" "No," Elena said. "No children. Do you want kids someday?" Elena felt sad thinking about it. She had always wanted children. She had imagined having babies with Robert, teaching them Romanian songs, watching them grow up in America. Now that dream seemed impossible. "Maybe someday," Elena said. David stopped pushing Lucy's swing. "Lucy, that's enough personal questions for today." Lucy jumped off the swing and ran over to Elena. "I'm sorry if I made you sad. I asked too many questions. Everyone tells me that." Elena smiled at the little girl. "It's okay. I like your questions." They spent the next hour walking around Cedar Falls. David showed Elena where the post office was, and the bank, and the pharmacy. Lucy pointed out her school and her favorite ice cream flavors at the small ice cream shop. Elena found herself relaxing for the first time in days. David and Lucy were easy to be with. David did not ask her lots of difficult questions about her situation. Lucy's questions were simple and honest. When they stopped for ice cream, David insisted on paying. Elena tried to argue, but he would not listen. "You just got here," he said. "Let us welcome you properly." As they sat outside the ice cream shop eating their cones, Elena looked around at the small town. It was nothing like the big city she had imagined America would be. But sitting with David and Lucy watching the sun shine on the quiet streets, she thought maybe small towns had their own kind of beauty. "Elena," Lucy said, vanilla ice cream on her chin. "Are you going to stay in Cedar Falls?" Elena did not know how to answer. "I do not know. I do not have anywhere else to go." "Good," Lucy said. "I hope you stay. I like you." Elena felt tears in her eyes again. But this time, they were not sad tears. For the first time since stepping off that bus, someone had said they wanted her to stay. After their afternoon together, Elena did not expect to see David and Lucy again soon. She thought they were just being polite to a stranger. But the next morning, she was surprised to find them waiting outside Mrs. Patterson's house. Lucy ran up to the porch where Elena was sitting with her English book. "Elena, we came to see you." David followed behind his daughter, looking a little embarrassed. "Lucy insisted we come by. She wanted to make sure you were okay." Elena felt happy to see them again. The morning had been long and quiet. She had been reading the same page over and over, trying to understand the difficult words. "I am fine," Elena said. "Thank you for yesterday. The ice cream was very good." Lucy sat down on the porch steps next to Elena. "What are you reading?" Elena showed her the English book. "I am trying to learn better English, but it is hard." Lucy looked at the book. "This looks boring. Want me to help you? I know lots of English words." David sat down on the other side of Elena. "Lucy, I don't think Elena wants to be bothered with your lessons." "It's okay," Elena said. "I would like help." For the next hour, Lucy helped Elena with pronunciation. The little girl was a good teacher. She was patient when Elena made mistakes, and she clapped when Elena said words correctly. David watched quietly, sometimes correcting Lucy's explanations, or helping with difficult words. Elena learned that David worked in construction. He built houses and fixed roofs around town. Lucy learned that Elena had worked in a factory back home, sewing clothes. "Did you make pretty dresses?" Lucy asked. "Sometimes. Mostly I made simple clothes, work clothes. I bet you could make pretty dresses if you wanted to," Lucy said. "You seem like someone who would be good at making pretty things." Elena smiled. Lucy had a way of making everything sound possible. Over the next week, David and Lucy came by every day. Sometimes they brought books from the library for Elena to practice reading. Sometimes they took her to different parts of town she had not seen yet. Sometimes they just sat on Mrs. Patterson's porch and talked. Elena learned that David's wife had died 2 years ago from cancer. She had been sick for a long time. Lucy had been only 5 when her mother died. David had been taking care of his daughter alone since then. "It's hard sometimes," David told Elena one afternoon while Lucy played in the yard. "I work all day, then come home and try to be a good father. I don't always know what I'm doing." Elena watched Lucy chasing butterflies in the grass. The little girl was full of energy and joy. "You are doing a good job. She is happy." David smiled. "She is happy, but sometimes I worry she needs things I can't give her, like a woman's touch. Someone to braid her hair properly or teach her about girl things." Elena understood. Lucy's hair was often messy and her clothes sometimes did not match. David tried his best, but there were things a father could not teach a daughter. "She talks about her mother sometimes," David continued. "She misses having a mommy like other kids at school." Elena felt sad for both of them. David was trying so hard to be everything to Lucy, and Lucy was growing up without the mother she needed. One morning, Elena arrived at Mrs. Cooper's house to clean. She had been working there for 2 weeks now. The work was good, and Mrs. Cooper was kind to her. But when Elena arrived, she found Lucy sitting on Mrs. Cooper's front steps. "Lucy, what are you doing here?" Lucy looked up with sad eyes. "Daddy had to go to work early today. He usually drops me at Mrs. Wilson's house, but she's sick. He didn't know what to do with me." Elena looked confused. "Where is your father now?" "He had to go to work. He was late already. He said I should just sit here and wait until he could come get me." Lucy's voice was small and worried. Elena felt angry. David had left his 7-year-old daughter alone on someone's front steps? "What? If something happened to her? Come with me," Elena said. "You can help me clean Mrs. Cooper's house." Lucy's face brightened. "Really? Can I?" Elena knocked on Mrs. Cooper's door and explained the situation. Mrs. Cooper was understanding and said Lucy could stay. While Elena cleaned, Lucy helped by dusting the low shelves and organizing books. She chattered constantly, telling Elena about her school, her friends, and her favorite TV shows. Elena enjoyed having the company. At lunchtime, Elena made sandwiches for both of them. They sat at Mrs. Cooper's kitchen table, eating and talking. Lucy asked Elena about Romania, about her family, about what it was like to live so far from home. "Do you miss your mommy and daddy?" Lucy asked. "Yes," Elena said. "Very much." "I miss my mommy too," Lucy said quietly. "Sometimes I forget what she looked like. That makes me sad." Elena put her arm around Lucy. "It's okay to be sad sometimes. Your mommy would want you to remember the happy things about her." Lucy leaned against Elena. "Will you tell me about your mommy? Maybe it will help me remember mine better." Elena spent the afternoon telling Lucy stories about her mother, how she made the best soup in their village, how she sang while she worked, how she always knew just what to say when Elena was sad or scared. When David came to pick up Lucy that evening, he found them sitting together on Mrs. Cooper's porch. Lucy was braiding Elena's hair, and Elena was teaching her a simple song in Romanian. "Daddy," Lucy called. "Elena taught me a song in Romanian. Want to hear it?" David walked up to them looking tired and grateful. "Elena, I can't thank you enough. I didn't know what else to do with Lucy this morning." "It was no problem," Elena said. "Lucy helped me clean. She is a good helper." "I had the best day," Lucy announced. Elena made me lunch and taught me songs and braided my hair. Look how pretty it is. David did look. Lucy's hair was neatly braided with small flowers tucked into it. Elena had found the flowers in Mrs. Cooper's garden. Lucy looked beautiful and happy. It is very pretty, David said softly. His eyes met Elena's over Lucy's head. Thank you. From that day on, whenever David needed someone to watch Lucy, he asked Elena. Elena was happy to help. She enjoyed spending time with the little girl. Lucy was smart and funny and full of questions about everything. Elena started teaching Lucy simple words in Romanian. Lucy taught Elena American games and songs. They became good friends despite the difference in their ages. One afternoon, while David was working late, Elena and Lucy walked to the small library together. Lucy wanted to find books about Romania to learn more about where Elena came from. The librarian, an older woman named Mrs. Davis, watched them looking through books together. She came over to help them find what they were looking for. Are you two related? Mrs. Davis asked. No, Lucy said. Elena is my friend. She's teaching me about Romania. Mrs. Davis looked at Elena. You must be the young woman who was supposed to marry Robert Miller. Elena nodded, feeling embarrassed again. Well, his loss is our gain, Mrs. Davis said kindly. Lucy, you're lucky to have such a nice friend. As they walked home from the library, Lucy skipped along beside Elena. Elena, do you think you'll stay in Cedar Falls forever? Elena thought about it. A month ago, she would have said no. She would have said she was just waiting to save enough money to go somewhere else. But now, watching Lucy's happy face, thinking about David's kind eyes, she was not so sure. I do not know, Elena said honestly. What do you think I should do? Lucy stopped skipping and looked very serious. I think you should stay. Daddy and I like having you around, and you don't have anywhere else to go anyway. Elena laughed at Lucy's practical way of thinking. That is true. I do not have anywhere else to go. Plus, Lucy added, you're getting really good at English now, and you know where everything is in town, and Mrs. Patterson likes you, and Mrs. Cooper says you're the best cleaner she's ever had. Elena was surprised. She said that? Yep. I heard her telling Mrs. Davis at the library. She said you work really hard and you're very careful with her nice things. Elena felt proud. She was working hard to make a life for herself in Cedar Falls. Maybe it was not the life she had planned, but it was her own life. She was earning money, learning English, and making friends. That evening, when David came to pick up Lucy, he lingered on Mrs. Patterson's porch to talk with Elena. Lucy was inside showing Mrs. Patterson the books they had gotten from the library. Elena, David said quietly, I want you to know how much I appreciate everything you've done for Lucy. And for me. You do not need to thank me. I enjoy spending time with Lucy. She is a special little girl. She is. And she's gotten so much happier since meeting you. She talks about you all the time. Elena felt warm inside. She talks about you all the time, too. She loves you very much. David smiled. We both think you're pretty special. Elena looked at David's face in the soft evening light. He had kind eyes and a gentle smile. He was nothing like she had imagined Robert would be. David was quiet where Robert's letters had been full of big promises. David was humble where Robert had sounded proud. David was here where Robert had run away. Elena was starting to understand that sometimes the best things came in different packages than you expected. 2 months had passed since Elena arrived in Cedar Falls. Life had settled into a routine that surprised her with its comfort. She cleaned houses 3 days a week and watched Lucy whenever David needed help. Her English was getting much better, and she had saved enough money to rent a small room above the bakery on Main Street. The room was tiny, with just a bed, a small table, and one window that looked out at the street. But it was hers. Elena had never had her own place before. In Romania, she had lived with her parents. Here she was learning what it meant to be independent. Elena still spent most of her time with David and Lucy. The three of them had fallen into an easy friendship. David would stop by Elena's new room after work sometimes, bringing Lucy with him. They would sit at Elena's small table while she made tea, and Lucy would tell them about her day at school. Elena had learned to braid Lucy's hair in different styles. She packed the little girl's lunches with care, adding small notes in English and Romanian. She helped Lucy with her homework and listened to her practice reading. David watched all of this with grateful eyes. Elena could see how much he appreciated having help with Lucy, but she sensed there was something more. Sometimes she caught him looking at her with an expression she did not quite understand. One evening in October, Lucy got sick with a fever. David called Elena in a panic. "I don't know what to do. She's burning up and I can't get her fever to come down." Elena hurried over to David's house. It was the first time she had been inside. The house was neat but clearly the home of a man, trying to raise a daughter alone. Lucy's toys were mixed with work boots in the hallway. There were dishes in the sink and laundry folded but not put away. Lucy was in her bed, her face flushed red with fever. She was crying and asking for her mommy. Elena's heart broke to see her so sick and confused. "Has she seen a doctor?" "Elena," asked David. "I called Dr. Martinez. He said if the fever doesn't go down by morning to bring her in." Elena felt Lucy's forehead. The little girl was very hot. "We need to cool her down. Do you have cloths? And ice?" For the next several hours, Elena took care of Lucy like she was her own child. She put cool cloths on Lucy's forehead and helped her sip water. She sang Romanian lullabies in a soft voice. When Lucy cried, Elena held her hand and told her stories. David tried to help, but he was nervous and worried. He kept checking Lucy's temperature every few minutes and asking Elena if they should go to the hospital. "She will be okay," Elena said gently. "Children get fevers. We just need to keep her comfortable and watch her carefully." Around midnight, Lucy's fever finally broke. She stopped crying and fell into a peaceful sleep. David and Elena sat in chairs next to her bed, watching her breathe steadily. "Thank you," David whispered. "I don't know what I would have done without you." Elena looked at him in the dim light from the hallway. His hair was messy from running his hands through it. His shirt was wrinkled. He looked tired and grateful and something else Elena could not name. "You would have been fine," Elena said. "You are a good father." David shook his head. "I try to be. But nights like this I feel so lost." Sarah always knew what to do when Lucy was sick. "I miss having someone to help me make decisions." Elena understood. It must be very hard to do everything alone. "It is. But tonight, I didn't feel alone. You knew exactly what to do. You were so calm and gentle with her." They sat quietly for a few minutes, both watching Lucy sleep. Elena felt something warm and peaceful settling in her chest. Taking care of Lucy felt natural to her. More natural than anything had felt since she arrived in America. "Elena," David said softly, "can I ask you something?" Elena nodded. "Do you ever think about having children of your own?" The question made Elena's throat feel tight. "I used to think about it, all the time. When I was coming to marry Robert, I imagined having babies with him, teaching them Romanian songs like my mother taught me. And now," Elena looked at Lucy's sleeping face, "now I do not know if that will ever happen for me. I am 26. I have no husband, no family here except the friends I have made." David was quiet for a long moment, then he said, "You're wonderful with Lucy. She loves you like a mother." Elena felt tears in her eyes. "I love her too, very much. She's never had that before. Not since Sarah died. You've given her something I couldn't give her, no matter how hard I tried." Elena wiped her eyes. "You give her love. That is the most important thing. But it's not enough, is it? She needs what you give her too. The gentle way you fix her hair, how you pack little notes in her lunch, the way you sing to her when she's scared." Elena looked at David. In the soft light, his face looked different than usual, more open, more vulnerable. "David, what are you trying to say?" Before he could answer, Lucy stirred in her sleep. She opened her eyes and looked around the room. When she saw Elena, she smiled weakly. "Elena, you stayed with me?" "Of course I stayed. How do you feel?" "Better. My head doesn't hurt anymore." Lucy reached for Elena's hand. "Will you stay until morning, in case I get sick again?" Elena looked at David. He nodded quickly. "Please stay. You can sleep in the guest room." Elena stayed. She checked on Lucy several times during the night. Each time, the little girl was sleeping peacefully, her fever completely gone. In the morning, Lucy woke up asking for pancakes, completely back to her normal self. David made breakfast for all three of them. As they sat around his kitchen table eating, Elena felt like they were a real family. Not the family she had planned to have, but a family that had grown naturally from friendship and care. "Elena," Lucy said, syrup on her chin. "Thank you for taking care of me last night. You made me feel so much better." "I was happy to help," Elena said. Lucy looked thoughtful. "You know what? You take better care of me than Mrs. Wilson does when Daddy has to work late." David laughed. "That's because Elena cares about you more than Mrs. Wilson does." "Is that true?" Lucy asked Elena. "Do you really care about me?" Elena felt her heart swell. "Of course I care about you. I care about you very much." Lucy beamed. "I care about you too. And so does Daddy. Right, Daddy?" David's face turned slightly red, but he nodded. "Yes, we both care about Elena very much." After breakfast, Elena walked back to her small room above the bakery. But she felt different somehow. The night of taking care of Lucy had changed something inside her. She had felt needed in a way she never had before. Not just needed for her work or her help, but needed as a person, as someone who mattered to this little family. Elena thought about what David had said, about how she gave Lucy something he could not give her. She had never thought of herself that way before. In Romania, she had been just another factory worker. Here in Cedar Falls, she was becoming something more important. That afternoon, David stopped by Elena's room alone. Lucy was at a friend's house playing. He seemed nervous and kept running his hands through his hair. "Elena, I've been thinking about last night," he said. Elena made tea and they sat at her small table. "Lucy is feeling much better today." "Yes, she is, thanks to you." David paused. "Elena, I need to tell you something. Last night, watching you with Lucy, I realized something I should have seen before." Elena waited for him to continue. "You're not just helping me take care of Lucy. You're not just babysitting her or doing me a favor." David looked directly into Elena's eyes. "You love her, really love her." Elena felt her cheeks grow warm. "Yes, I do love her. And she loves you. She talks about you all the time. She asks me every morning if she'll see you that day. When you're not around, she tells everyone about Elena this and Elena that." Elena smiled. "She is easy to love." David reached across the small table and touched Elena's hand. "Elena, you've become part of our lives, part of our family. I don't think either Lucy or I could imagine life without you anymore." Elena felt her heart beating fast. David's hand was warm on hers. She had never heard him talk this way before. "I feel the same way," Elena said quietly. "You and Lucy have given me a home when I had nowhere to go. You have made me feel wanted and needed." David smiled. "Good. Because I have something I want to ask you, but I want you to think about it carefully before you answer." Elena nodded, wondering what he was going to say. "Elena, would you consider moving in with us? Not as our babysitter or housekeeper, but as part of our family? Lucy needs you, and honestly, so do I." Elena stared at him. She had not expected this. "David, You don't have to answer now," David said quickly. "I know it's a big decision. I know we're not related by blood or marriage, but sometimes families form in unexpected ways." Elena thought about her tiny room above the bakery. Then she thought about last night, sitting by Lucy's bed, feeling like she was exactly where she belonged. "I would like that very much," Elena said softly. David's face lit up with relief and joy. Really? Really? But David, what are people going to think? A single man and a single woman living in the same house with a child? David had clearly thought about this too. Let them think whatever they want. We know the truth. We know we're a family, even if it's not traditional. Elena squeezed David's hand. Then yes, I would love to be part of your family. The news of Elena and David's engagement spread through Cedar Falls faster than Lucy could run to tell her friends at school. By the next morning, Mrs. Patterson was knocking on their door with a homemade apple pie and tears of joy in her eyes. I knew it, she exclaimed, hugging Elena tightly. I knew from the first day I saw you three together that this was meant to be. You belong together. Elena felt overwhelmed by the kindness of the townspeople. Mrs. Cooper offered to host the wedding reception at her large house. Mrs. Davis at the library helped Elena research American wedding traditions. Even Rosie from the diner stopped Elena on the street to congratulate her and offer to cater the wedding dinner. This town has adopted you, David told Elena one evening as they sat together on the porch swing he had finally finished repairing. Lucy was inside doing homework. They're almost as excited about our wedding as Lucy is. Elena smiled, turning the engagement ring on her finger. She still sometimes could not believe it was real. I never expected to feel so welcome here. When I first arrived, I felt like such an outsider. You were never an outsider, David said. You just hadn't found your place yet. They had decided to have a small wedding in December just before Christmas. Elena wanted time to plan properly, and she also wanted to save money for a simple but nice ceremony. She was still cleaning houses and had started working part-time at the bakery below her old room. The baker, Mr. Hoffman, had been impressed with her work ethic and her willingness to learn. Elena discovered she had a talent for baking. Her Romanian pastries became popular with the bakery's customers. Mr. Hoffman even let her create a small section of European treats that sold well to people driving through town. You have good hands for this work, Mr. Hoffman told her, and you understand that baking is about more than just following recipes. You bake with love. Elena enjoyed having her own work and her own income. Even though she was marrying David, she wanted to contribute to their household. She wanted to be a partner, not someone who needed to be taken care of. David understood this about her. He never tried to convince her to quit working or to depend on him completely. Instead, he encouraged her independence and praised her growing success at the bakery. I'm proud of you, he told her one evening after she came home, excited about a large order for a holiday party. You've built something for yourself here. Elena appreciated that David saw her as an equal. It was different from what she had expected from marriage. In Romania, many women depended completely on their husbands, but David wanted her to have her own dreams and goals. They talked about their future together during long evening conversations after Lucy was asleep. David wanted to expand his construction business and maybe hire some help. Elena dreamed of eventually opening her own small bakery. They talked about travel, about possibly visiting Elena's family in Romania, about maybe having more children someday. Would you want another baby? David asked her one night. Elena felt her heart skip. Would you? With you? Yes. Lucy would love a little brother or sister, and I think you would be an amazing mother. Elena felt tears in her eyes. A year ago, she thought her chance for children might be gone. Now she had Lucy, who felt like her own daughter, and the possibility of more children with a man she truly loved. Lucy was the most excited person in town about the upcoming wedding. She had asked to be the flower girl and was taking her duties very seriously. She practiced walking slowly and carrying a basket of flower petals around the house every day. I want to make sure I do it perfectly, she told Elena. This is the most important day ever. Elena helped Lucy pick out a dress for the wedding. They drove to the larger town nearby and spent a whole afternoon shopping together. Lucy chose a red velvet dress that made her feel grown-up and special. Do you think Mommy would have liked you? Lucy asked Elena as they drove home. The question surprised Elena. Lucy rarely talked about her mother anymore. I hope she would have liked me. What do you think? Lucy considered this seriously. I think she would have loved you, because you make Daddy happy and you take good care of me. Mommy always wanted Daddy to be happy. Elena felt emotional thinking about David's first wife. I wish I could have met her. Me too. But Elena, can I tell you something? Of course. I don't remember Mommy very well anymore. Her voice, or how she smelled, or the way she laughed. But I remember how safe I felt with her. And you make me feel that same way, safe and loved. Elena had to pull the truck over because she was crying too hard to drive safely. She hugged Lucy tightly, feeling grateful for this child who had such a big heart. As the wedding date approached, Elena realized she wanted her family to know about her happiness. She had not contacted them since arriving in America. She had been too ashamed about Robert leaving her, and then too busy building her new life. Elena wrote a long letter to her parents, telling them everything that had happened. About Robert disappearing, about meeting David and Lucy, about finding work and a home in Cedar Falls. She included photos of David and Lucy, and one of herself wearing her engagement ring. I know this is not the life you expected me to have in America, she wrote. But I am happier than I ever dreamed possible. David is a good man who loves me for who I am. Lucy is like the daughter I always wanted. I have work I enjoy and friends who care about me. Please do not worry about me. I have found where I belong. 2 weeks later, Elena received a response from her mother. The letter was full of joy and relief. My dear Elena, her mother wrote, we have been so worried since we did not hear from you. But your letter and photos show us that you are truly happy. David looks like a kind man and Lucy is beautiful. We are proud of you for building such a good life for yourself. We pray that God will bless your marriage with many years of happiness. Elena cried when she read her mother's words. She had been afraid her family would be disappointed that she had not married the man she came to America to marry. Instead, they were happy that she had found real love. The week before the wedding, Elena moved the last of her things from her small room above the bakery into David's house. It felt strange to officially give up her independence, but also right. She was not losing herself in marriage. She was gaining a fuller life. David had cleared space in his closet for Elena's clothes and moved a small desk into the bedroom for her to use. This is your home too now, he told her. I want you to feel like you belong here completely. Elena arranged her few precious things around the room. Photos of her family in Romania, the small jewelry box her grandmother had given her, the English dictionary she had studied from when she first arrived. These items told the story of her journey from a scared young woman with nowhere to go to a confident woman about to marry the man she loved. 3 days before the wedding, Elena was working at the bakery when a familiar figure walked through the door. It was Robert Miller. Elena's heart stopped beating for a moment. Robert looked older than in his photos. His hair was thinner and he had gained weight. He wore a nervous expression as he approached the counter where Elena was standing. Elena, he said uncertainly, is that really you? Elena felt strangely calm looking at the man who had changed her life by abandoning her. Hello, Robert. I heard you were still in town. I heard you're getting married. Elena nodded. Yes, this Saturday. Robert looked uncomfortable. Elena, I owe you an explanation about why I left. I was scared. The whole mail-order bride thing seemed like a good idea when I was lonely. But when it became real, when you were actually coming, I panicked. I'm sorry. Elena studied his face. 6 months ago, this explanation might have mattered to her. Now, it seemed unimportant. Thank you for telling me, she said simply. Are you happy? Robert asked. With this David guy? Elena smiled, thinking of David fixing the fence that morning while Lucy helped by handing him tools. Very happy. Robert nodded slowly. Good. I'm glad. You deserve better than what I could have given you anyway. After Robert left, Elena realized she felt nothing but pity for him. He was a man who ran away from chances at happiness because he was afraid. Elena was grateful he had run away. If he had stayed, she never would have found David and Lucy. She never would have discovered what real love felt like. That evening, Elena told David about Robert's visit. David listened quietly, then pulled her into his arms. "Are you okay?" he asked. "I'm perfect," Elena said, meaning it completely. "Seeing him made me realize how lucky I am. If he hadn't left, I never would have found you." David kissed her forehead. "I'm the lucky one. You came into my life and made everything better." 2 days later, Elena woke up on the morning of her wedding day feeling more excited than nervous. She was marrying a man who knew her completely and loved her exactly as she was. She was gaining a daughter who had already claimed her heart. She was becoming part of a community that had welcomed her with open arms. As she got ready for her wedding, surrounded by Mrs. Patterson, Mrs. Cooper, and several other women from town who had insisted on helping her, Elena marveled at how different this day was from what she had imagined when she first got on that bus to Cedar Falls. She had thought she was coming to fulfill someone else's dream. Instead, she had discovered her own dreams and built a life better than anything she could have planned. "You look beautiful, dear." Elena had been living with David and Lucy for 3 weeks. The arrangement felt natural and right from the very first day. Elena had her own room, but she spent most of her time in the common areas of the house. She cooked breakfast while David got ready for work. She walked Lucy to school and picked her up in the afternoons. She helped with homework and bedtime stories. The house felt like a real home now. Elena's small touches were everywhere. Fresh flowers on the kitchen table, curtains she had sewn for the living room windows, photos of the 3 of them together that Lucy had insisted on taking. David paid Elena for childcare, but it felt more like contributing to household expenses than working for wages. They shared grocery shopping and cooking duties. Elena felt like an equal partner in their little family, not like an employee. The people of Cedar Falls had accepted the arrangement more easily than Elena expected. Mrs. Patterson told everyone who would listen what a good influence Elena was on Lucy. Mrs. Cooper bragged about Elena's cleaning skills and strong work ethic. Even the librarian, Mrs. Davis, had commented on how happy and well-behaved Lucy seemed these days. "That young woman has been a blessing to those 2, Elena heard Mrs. Patterson tell someone at the grocery store. Lucy needed a mother figure, and David needed someone to share the load. It's working out perfectly." Elena was happier than she had been since arriving in America. She was learning to drive David's old pickup truck. Her English was getting so good that people sometimes forgot she was from another country. She was even thinking about taking classes at the community college in the next town over. One warm afternoon in late October, Elena was teaching Lucy to braid friendship bracelets on the front porch. David was supposed to be fixing the porch railing, but he kept stopping to watch them work. Elena showed Lucy how to choose colors that looked good together and how to keep the braids tight and even. "This is hard," Lucy said, her tongue sticking out in concentration. "Practice makes it easier," Elena said. "When I was your age, my grandmother taught me to braid. At first, my braids were loose and messy, but she was patient with me. Will you teach me other things your grandmother taught you?" Lucy asked. "Of course, what would you like to learn?" Lucy thought for a moment. "How to cook Romanian food, and how to sing those pretty songs you sing to me at bedtime." Elena smiled. "I would love to teach you those things." David had stopped, pretending to work on the railing. He was sitting on the porch steps listening to their conversation with a soft expression on his face. Lucy finished her first bracelet. It was a little loose and uneven, but she was proud of it. "Look, Elena, is it good?" "It's beautiful," Elena said. "Who are you going to give it to?" Lucy held up the bracelet, examining it in the sunlight. Then she looked at Elena with serious eyes. "Elena, can I ask you something important?" "Of course." Lucy glanced over at her father, then back at Elena. "Elena, will you marry my daddy?" Elena's hands stopped moving. The bracelet she was working on fell into her lap. She stared at Lucy, not sure she had heard correctly. What did you say? Will, you marry my daddy? Lucy repeated as if she were asking about the weather. I think you should. You love him and he loves you, and we're already like a family anyway. Elena's face turned red. She could feel David staring at her from across the porch. Lucy, that's not... You can't just ask people things like that. Why not? It makes sense. You take care of me and Daddy. You live with us. You make him smile more than he used to, and you make the best pancakes in the world. Elena risked a glance at David. His face was bright red too, but he was smiling. Lucy, he said gently, you can't just ask Elena to marry me. That's not how it works. Why not? Lucy demanded. You're both grown-ups. You can decide for yourselves. Elena felt her heart beating very fast. She had not let herself think about marrying David. They lived together, they took care of Lucy together, they had become a family in every way except legally. But marriage seemed like a huge step. Lucy, Elena said carefully, marriage is very serious. People need to love each other in a special way to get married. Lucy looked confused. But you do love each other in a special way, I can tell. Daddy looks at you the same way he used to look at Mommy in the old photos. David made a choking sound. Elena felt her face get even hotter. And Elena, Lucy continued, you look at Daddy like he's the best person in the world. That's how people look when they love each other, right? Elena did not know what to say. Was Lucy right? Did she love David in that special way? When she thought about it, she realized that somewhere along the way, her feelings for David had changed. He was no longer just a friend who helped her. He was no longer just Lucy's father who needed assistance. He had become someone she cared about deeply, someone she could not imagine living without. Lucy, David said, his voice sounding strange. Maybe Elena doesn't want to get married. She came here to marry someone else and that didn't work out. Maybe she's not ready to think about marriage again. Elena looked at David. He was right that she had come to Cedar Falls to marry Robert, but that felt like a lifetime ago. Robert had been a stranger who made promises in letters. David was someone she knew and trusted and cared about. I didn't love Robert, Elena said quietly. Both David and Lucy looked at her with surprise. I thought I might learn to love him, but I didn't really love him. I came here because I wanted a different life, not because I loved him. And now? David asked, his voice very soft. Elena felt brave suddenly. Lucy's innocent question had opened, a door that had been closed in her heart. Now I know what it feels like to really love someone. Lucy clapped her hands where, see, I told you, so will you marry him? Elena laughed, despite her embarrassment. Lucy, that's not how proposals work. The man is supposed to ask the woman, not the other way around. Lucy turned to her father with expectant eyes. Well, Daddy, are you going to ask her? David looked completely overwhelmed. He ran his hands through his hair, a gesture Elena had come to recognize as a sign that he was nervous or thinking hard about something. Lucy, honey, David said, these things take time. Adults need to talk about important decisions like this. What's to talk about? Lucy asked with 7-year-old logic. You love each other, you already live together, you already take care of me together. Getting married just makes it official. Elena found herself thinking that Lucy had a point. What were they waiting for? They had already built a life together. They already functioned as a family unit. Marriage would just be putting words to what already existed. Lucy, Elena said, why is it so important to you that your daddy and I get married? Lucy's face became serious. Because then you couldn't leave us. If you're married to Daddy, then you'll really be my family forever, not just someone who's helping out for a while. Elena felt tears in her eyes. Lucy was worried that Elena would leave them someday. The little girl had already lost her mother. She was afraid of losing Elena too. Oh, Lucy, Elena said, reaching over to hug her. I'm not going anywhere, I promise. Whether your daddy and I get married or not, I will always be part of your family. But it would be better if you got married, Lucy insisted. Then I could call you Mom if I wanted to. Elena's Sue, throat felt tight. The idea of Lucy calling her mom made her feel happy and scared at the same time. David stood up from the porch steps. He walked over to where Elena and Lucy were sitting. He knelt down in front of Elena's chair and took her hands in his. "Elena," he said. "Lucy's question caught me off guard, but maybe it's time I was honest about something." Elena's heart started beating very fast again. "I've been thinking about asking you to marry me for weeks now," David continued. "But I was scared. Scared that you would think I was just looking for someone to help with Lucy. Scared that you would say no. Scared that I was moving too fast." Elena stared at him. "David, but Lucy's right about some things. We do love each other. We are already a family, and I can't imagine my life without you in it." Lucy bounced excitedly in her chair. "This is better than TV." David smiled at his daughter, then looked back at Elena. "Elena, I know this isn't how I planned to do this. I meant to take you somewhere romantic and give you a proper proposal. But since Lucy has already asked the question for me, I might as well make it official." David reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Elena gasped. "I bought this last week," David said. "I've been carrying it around, waiting for the right moment." He opened the box to reveal a simple but beautiful diamond ring. "Elena, will you marry me? Will you be my wife and Lucy's mother?" Elena looked at the ring, then at David's hopeful face, then at Lucy, who was practically vibrating with excitement. 6 months ago, Elena had stepped off a bus in Cedar Falls expecting to marry a man she had never met. That man had abandoned her before she could even meet him. She had felt lost and alone and uncertain about her future. Now she was looking at a man who had shown her kindness when she had nowhere to turn. A man who had included her in his family gradually and naturally. A man who had never made her promises in letters, but who had shown her through his actions that he cared about her. "Yes," Elena said, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, I will marry you." Lucy let out a whoop of joy that probably could be heard 3 houses away. David slipped the ring onto Elena's finger with shaking hands. Elena woke up on her wedding morning to the sound of Lucy singing in the hallway. The little girl had been too excited to sleep much and was already dressed in her red velvet flower girl dress at 7 in the morning. "Elena, Elena, it's wedding day." Lucy burst into Elena's room, twirling around to make her dress spin out. Elena sat up in bed, smiling at Lucy's excitement. "Good morning, my beautiful flower girl. Are you ready for the big day?" "I've been ready forever. Daddy's making pancakes, but he's nervous, so they're kind of burned. Mrs. Patterson is here already, and she brought flowers for your hair," Elena could smell the slightly burned pancakes from downstairs and hear voices in the kitchen. The whole house felt alive with happy energy. David had spent the night at his friend Tom's house, following the tradition that the bride and groom should not see each other on the wedding day until the ceremony. Elena had missed having him there, but she understood that some traditions were important to follow. After breakfast, Mrs. Patterson and several other women from town arrived to help Elena get ready. They had insisted on treating her like their own daughter, since Elena's family was so far away in Romania. Elena's wedding dress was simple but elegant. She had bought it at a shop in the bigger town nearby. It was white with small pearl buttons and a modest train. Mrs. Cooper had lent her a pearl necklace that had belonged to her mother. Mrs. Davis had brought her a blue handkerchief for something blue. Mrs. Patterson had given her earrings that had been her grandmother's for something old. "You look like a princess," Lucy declared as the women helped Elena into her dress. "Daddy is going to cry when he sees you." Elena looked at herself in the full-length mirror Mrs. Patterson had brought upstairs. She did look different. Happy and glowing and ready to start this new chapter of her life. The wedding was being held at the small church on the edge of town. It was a simple white building with a steeple and beautiful stained glass windows. Elena had never been inside it before, but when she walked in that afternoon, it felt like home. The church was full of people. Almost the entire town had come to celebrate with them. Elena was amazed to see how many friends she had made in Cedar Falls without even realizing it. People from the grocery store, the library, the bakery, customers whose houses she cleaned, Lucy's teachers from school. They all smiled at her with genuine warmth and happiness. David stood at the front of the church wearing his best suit. His friend Tom stood beside him as best man. When Elena walked down the aisle, David's face lit up with such joy that several people in the congregation started crying. Lucy walked in front of Elena, carefully scattering red rose petals from her basket. She took her job very seriously, making sure the petals were spread evenly. When she reached the front of the church, she gave both Elena and David a big thumbs up before sitting in the front pew next to Mrs. Patterson. The ceremony was simple and beautiful. The pastor, Reverend Williams, had spent time getting to know Elena and David over the past month. He spoke about how love sometimes comes in unexpected ways, and how the best families are built on choice and commitment, not just blood. When it came time for vows, Elena and David had chosen to write their own words. David spoke first, his voice slightly shaky with emotion. Elena, 6 months ago you came to our town as a stranger looking for a new life. You found me and Lucy when we needed you most. You brought light into our house and love into our hearts. You chose to stay with us when you could have gone anywhere. You chose to love us when we were broken. Today I choose you back. I choose to love you and protect you and build a life with you. I promise to be your partner in everything. I promise to support your dreams and share your burdens. I promise to love you for all the days of my life. Elena wiped tears from her eyes as she began her own vows. David, I came to America looking for a husband I had never met. Instead, I found a friend who became the love of my life. You showed me kindness when I had nowhere to go. You welcomed me into your family when I had no family of my own. You saw me not as someone who needed to be rescued, but as someone who had something valuable to give. Lucy, my sweet girl, you asked me to marry your daddy, and I could not imagine a better reason to say yes. You have made me a mother and filled my heart with so much love. Today I choose both of you. I promise to love you and care for you and build our dreams together. I promise to make our house a true home. I promise to love you both for all the days of my life. When Reverend Williams pronounced them husband and wife, the entire church erupted in cheers and applause. David kissed Elena gently and Lucy jumped up from her seat to hug both of them. We did it, Lucy shouted. We're really a family now. The reception was held at Mrs. Cooper's house, just as she had offered. The whole town seemed to have contributed something. Mrs. Patterson had made the wedding cake. Rosie from the diner had provided the dinner. Mr. Hoffman from the bakery had made a special display of Elena's Romanian pastries. Elena and David's first dance was to a slow song playing on Mrs. Cooper's old record player. As they swayed together, in the living room that had been cleared for dancing, Elena felt perfectly content. How does it feel to be Mrs. Miller? David asked softly. Elena smiled. It feels like coming home. After their dance, Lucy insisted on having a dance with both her new parents. The three of them moved together slowly, Lucy standing on David's feet while holding Elena's hands. This is the best day of my whole life, Lucy announced loudly enough for everyone to hear. I got a mommy and daddy got a wife and we're all happy together. As the evening went on, Elena found herself talking to people she had known for months but understanding for the first time how much they cared about her. Tom told her that David had been a different man since meeting her, happier and more hopeful than he had been since his first wife died. Mrs. Patterson pulled Elena aside to give her a special gift, a photo album she had been secretly putting together. It contained pictures from Elena's first day in Cedar Falls to the engagement photos she had taken just last week. I wanted you to see how far you've come, Mrs. Patterson said. Look at this first picture of you sitting on Robert's front steps, and compare it to this one of you laughing with Lucy and David. You can see the difference. You found where you belong. Elena looked through the album with tears in her eyes. Mrs. Patterson was right. In the early photos, Elena looked lost and scared. In the recent ones, she looked confident and joyful. As the reception wound down, Elena and David walked home together with Lucy between them. Lucy was exhausted from all the excitement and fell asleep almost immediately when they tucked her into bed. Elena and David sat together on their front porch swing, still wearing their wedding Clothes. The December night was cold, but they were warm under the blanket David had brought outside. I keep thinking about that first day, Elena said, when I sat on Robert's front steps with nowhere to go. If someone had told me then that 6 months later I would be married to a wonderful man with a beautiful daughter and a whole town full of friends, I would never have believed them. David pulled her closer. I keep thinking about it too. If Robert hadn't left, none of this would have happened. I would never have met you. Lucy would never have gotten the mother she needed. We would have missed out on all of this happiness. Elena looked at the house across the street where Robert was supposed to have lived. It was still empty, with a "for rent" sign in the yard. Do you think he did us a favor by leaving? Elena asked. The biggest favor of our lives, David said firmly. He left you free to find us, and he left us free to find you. Lucy appeared at the front door in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. What are you doing out here? It's cold. Just talking, Elena said. Come here, sweetheart. Lucy climbed onto the porch swing between them, and David wrapped the blanket around all three of them. Are you happy, Mommy? Lucy asked Elena. It was the first time Lucy had called her Mommy, and Elena felt her heart swell with love. I am happier than I ever imagined possible, Elena said honestly. Good, because I love you very much and I want you to be happy forever. Elena kissed the top of Lucy's head. I love you too, my sweet girl, both of you. As they sat together on the porch swing, Elena thought about how different her life was from what she had planned. She had come to Cedar Falls expecting to marry a stranger and live a life someone else had designed for her. Instead, she had married a friend who had become the love of her life, gained a daughter who filled her heart with joy, and built a life that was entirely her own. She had learned that home was not a place you traveled to find. Home was something you built with people who chose to stay with you, who saw your value, who loved you for exactly who you were. Elena had spent months sitting on various chairs and porches in Cedar Falls, wondering what would happen to her next. Now she understood that fate had been working all along. Every disappointment, every moment of uncertainty, every small kindness had been leading her to this moment, to this family, to this home. 6 months ago, Elena had been a mail-order bride abandoned by a man she had never met. Tonight, she was Elena Miller, beloved wife and mother, successful baker, valued member of a community, and woman who had found exactly where she belonged.